So welcome to my episode on gaming regrets, things that I regret buying and experiences that I had in the video game world. And before I begin, I will ask you guys, what is a gaming regret that you have? Is it a certain game that you bought that didn't live up to your expectations? Is it an experience you had with a particular controller that drove you absolutely crazy, or a peripheral, or a figure that you bought that just kind of sucked? Let me know down below. Okay, my first gaming regret was an impulse buy. It was, and it's kind of surprising. I'm just gonna show it. I'm gonna get right to it. And that is for the PlayStation 5 VR 2. Right here. Oh boy, let's bring the whole shebang up here. Let's do it. So the story is here. Me and Kim were out one day. Kim was at the library across the road from a Walmart with my daughter, and I'm like, hey, I'll just go walk into Walmart. What could possibly go wrong? Probably everything. So I go up the escalator, I get in, and I'm looking in the video game section. I always end up there, obviously. And I'm looking around and I'm like, oh my God, it's the PlayStation 5 VR 2. And I just want to say, I loved the very first VR headset for the first PlayStation 4. I enjoyed the heck out of it. I spent so many hours playing that. I bought it day one. It was an expensive buy, but I played all the games and I really got something out of that experience. But this one, I was like, man, it's really expensive. There's not a lot of games at launch. I'm like, and I'm sitting there in Walmart looking in the glass at it, and I'm right there looking at it going, and it started like calling to me and hypnotizing me, going, come to me, come to me. I'm like, no, I'm like fighting against Satan or something like that. I'm like, no. And then I'm like, yes, let's do this. And all of a sudden, I went to the cash register and I said, hey, can I get this? And they're like, yep, rang it up, went to the truck, put it in the back of the truck. And then I walked over to the library to see Kim and my daughter, and I'm like, hey. And she's like, hey. And she's like, what's up? And I'm like, nothing. And I'm like, dude, I said, I just bought us the PlayStation 5 VR 2. And she's like, what? She's like, wait, how expensive was that? I'm like, kind of expensive. And then we kind of look at each other and we're like, yeah, because Kim loved the first PlayStation VR as well. And as I said, we spent so many hours playing so many different games. I remember the very first day that got released, this is gonna sound crazy, I spent 10 hours playing VR that day. And let me say, I was very, very sick. I wanted to throw up everywhere. I was laying in bed that night, I was like moving, the motion was like crazy. And so I bought this, I brought it home, and it comes with Horizon Call of the Mountain right here. And I'm like, well, this should be fun. And I just want to say something in the defense of the headsets and the controllers. They work flawlessly. It's wonderful stuff. Putting this on, fitting it to your head over your glasses, putting your headphones in, attaching it, turning everything on. Really great. Mapping the room and then getting right to it. Perfect stuff. This is really good technology. I'm not saying anything about the technology. I'm talking about my impulse buy and the return on that impulse buy. So I started to play Horizon Call of the Mountain, and I'm having fun. I'm thinking, this is great stuff. I'm like, oh, this is really is this worth it? And so I played, a bunch of hours of that. And then the next day we put in Gran Turismo 7 VR, and Kim, she was so addicted to that. She was sitting on the couch just playing that over and over and over again and loving it. And we're like, oh my God. And I gotta say, it was the most unbelievable VR racing simulator I have ever played. It was amazing. And it was a big upgrade over the first VR headset that they released all those years ago. And so I'm like, this is great. Okay, this is cool. Then I played Resident Evil Village in VR. And I'm telling you, survival horror in VR is like a strong thing and a weak thing for my mind, because it scares the living bejeebas out of me. It really does, and it gives me the sweats. And I totally enjoyed my experience with that. Running around and in the VR, revisiting Village again that way is a totally unique experience. And then I did Resident Evil 4 Reload, the VR mode in there. And oh my God, you haven't lived until you've been in VR and you have a chainsaw guy coming after you. You haven't lived in life until you've done that. And again, scared the living daylights out of me. It was a crazy, horrific experience playing VR Resident Evil. It's nuts, and it's absolutely amazing. I really, really enjoyed it. And then guess what? This just went onto the shelf. I kind of just put it over here, and I put these behind the TV where they've sat for a very, very long time. We're talking over probably a year plus now. And I'm like, oh, and even to get these to come and do the episode, I had to get all the dust off them. And I kind of had a regret. I was like, I had that initial excitement. I was like, yes, I'm really excited about this. And as I say, the technology's good. I just feel that I never got the return on the investment. And, you know, maybe that's to do with me as well, that I didn't go and play a lot of other VR games. I just kind of lost the urge. There was other big games coming out, you know, Final Fantasy games and all sorts of stuff. And I was playing that and I was really enjoying it. And this just got put in the dustbed, you know, and I never kind of even thought about it again. And it is a regret because it is a lot of money. And I've not played it enough to kind of compensate spending all that money on it. And it's just kind of gone to waste. And that's really unfortunate. And I'm going to try to get back into this. But right now, it is a bit of a regret. I've seen a couple of games that have really blown my mind lately, like Legendary Tales. Legendary Tales looks like amazing. A full RPG in VR. It's extraordinary. You get your swords and you're fighting, you know, skeletons. That's right up my alley. I heard the game tires you out a little bit, you know, because you're constantly doing this kind of stuff over and over and over. It's just the Wii all over again. But it's the experience that I want with VR. And I think what I would love on this system is like a JRPG in VR. That's something that would be really phenomenal. But as I say right now, the PlayStation 5 VR2 headset and controllers are a bit of a gaming regret right now. Okay, I'm not picking on Sony right now. This is just the order they're going at. And this one is kind of an interesting one. There's a double-edged sword on this. And so, during the Christmas season this year, I was very excited. I was able to get one, and they were very hard to get. They were selling out everywhere. A PlayStation Portal right here. And the idea of playing my PlayStation 5 in the bedroom, on the couch, in another room, I like that idea. Just taking it on the go sounded pretty cool to me. And again, I bought this, and it just kind of sat for a little bit. And it took me a while to even get to it and then start it. And for me personally, it's been a bit of a regret. I haven't got my money's worth out of it. Or haven't I? Yes, something happened. I gave it to my wife, Kim. I said, hey, try this out. And she's like, what? The PlayStation 5 on the go? Kim loves playing the Nintendo Switch. She's finished all the Xenogear games and so many countless RPGs on that machine. She loves sitting on the couch and playing it or playing it in bed. She loves it. And so this, you know, we hooked it all up for her. We finally got it going, and she loved it. All of a sudden, she's putting in 97 hours into Persona 3 Reload. Finishing move! And now she's moved on to Baldur's Gate 3, and she's like probably around 70 hours into that game. So now it is paying itself off. It started off as one of those regrets where, for me personally, I'm like, nope, I'm not getting my money's worth out of this. And then it goes to Kim, and she loves it and adores it. The only thing that she really doesn't like about it is how it feels. It feels like very wide apart, and it's just kind of hard on the hands, she says all the time. But, you know, other than that, she's got a lot of playtime out of it. So my next gaming regret is an unusual one and an interesting one. When I was thinking about doing this episode, I was looking around the games room and I'm like, what are some gaming regrets that I have? And I'm looking around and I saw this one particular item. And yes, we buy a lot of items. We all do special editions and, you know, versions of games and all that kind of stuff. And we always put them on the shelf, and sometimes we get to them and sometimes we don't. Sometimes we admire them and sometimes we don't. I personally always walk around the games room and everything I have here really genuinely makes me happy, and I get a really good energy from it. Except for one item, and this is why it's so kind of funny for me, because I adore the original game, and I'm showing it right here, and that is for Monster World 4, which was released on the Mega Drive, and this is signed by the creator of Wonder Boy right here. I got this for my birthday a long time ago. I sent him my copy just to get it signed, and I love this game. It's a game from my childhood, and something that never came over here. It's come over here now with translations over the years, which has been a wonderful thing, and that's been it. And then they decided to do something that was fascinating and something I should have liked, but I didn't, and it was really hard for me. And that was they did a full remake called Wonder Boy Asher in Monster World. Yes, they did a remake of this game, and I saw the trailer, and I reacted to it back in the day. I was like, oh, I can't wait to see this trailer. And I was watching the trailer in real time, and I was talking about it going, I was so disappointed in it. I looked at the visuals, and I'm like, this is disappointing, especially after some of the other Wonder Boy remakes and, you know, some of the new reimagined versions of Wonder Boy over the years, like Monster Boy. I was like, no, I really kind of recoiled from the game, and it looked really bitty, and it just didn't have that polish that I was hoping that such a classic game deserved. And it also hurt that I made that video, and, you know, I love the creator of the game, and I know he probably watched my video and was really disappointed because I know he, you know, worked on the game and wanted to make it something else, and I felt bad, but I had to give my honest opinion. And it was one of those ones I always like, that's a gaming regret into itself. I feel bad I had to do that video, but I had to because I was disappointed. And here's the lead up to it. It's not just, that's just not the gaming regret I'm getting to. Here it is. I had to wipe off the dust. It's so fun. Let me wipe off the dust. Do you see that? Oh, right there. I had to get the huge, gigantic, special edition version of this game with every single thing in it. I mean, there's everything in this edition of the game. Look at this. It's huge, it's gigantic, it sits on my shelf, and I don't particularly like the game at all. So that's why it's a gaming regret. I always look up at it. More dust. I always look up at it, and I'm like, yeah, I own it because I'm a huge Wonder Boy fan. But it's not the sparkling gem that I wanted it to be. And I spent a bit of coin to get this big edition of the game, the Mega Collection Edition. And yeah, it's a regret of mine, and it's a kind of a psychological thing for all of us, that sometimes we buy things as fans that we don't even particularly like, but we buy them because we're the fan of the series for so long. You almost feel indebted to buying it because you are a fan, and you're like, if I don't buy it, then I don't feel like I'm that big of a fan of Wonder Boy. It's a crazy idea. I mean, it's a crazy thing for collectors. It is, and for lovers of video games, and I'm a lover of video games before I'm a collector. And so this is a wild one for me to look up at and go, I don't particularly love you, and you're taking up some shelf space, but you have to be here because I'm a fan. It's rather wild, right? Now, my final gaming regret still haunts me to this day. It still does. I think it will haunt me for the rest of my life because every time I look at the item, I realize what we didn't get. So what we have to do is go back for a minute to the past when Dragon Quest X was announced that was coming out in Japan. And of course, I obviously thought, we're getting this. We're gonna get it. Maybe about a year later, but it's coming. It's in the mail, for sure. So I kind of got lost in my own hype of something that had not even been announced to come out here yet. So I did something kind of crazy. I kind of went off the cuff on this one and ordered some things from Japan, and I ordered 2 of them for me and Kim, because I knew that me and Kim would both be loving this game. We could play it on separate televisions together, and I got 2 of them, and that is the Dragon Quest X keyboard from Japan right here. And I gotta say, I was so excited. I was like, yes, I got me and Kim a keyboard each. And I'll show you the actual keyboard itself right here. Look at this. Unbelievable. And I just like the slimes on it. And I was imagining when I got this, of all the fun that me and Kim were gonna have playing this game together and with all the people that watch the show. I was already like philosophizing of starting, you know, like a big clan for the Happy Console Gamer where we could all play together. And I thought this is gonna be great. And yes, I have a terrible online addiction with MMOs, but I didn't care. I was like, I'm excited. It's Dragon Quest. How can me and Kim avoid this game when it comes out here? Oh, the regret. And it's not just a regret that I bought a couple of keyboards. It's a regret that we never got this game. And it never came out here. And it upset me too during the 35th anniversary live stream that they did, that they announced Dragon Quest X. And I'm like, here we go. The offline version of the game. I'll clap if it's coming over here. There are no plans for a worldwide release. Oh my god. No plans for... I completely sank into the ground. And, you know, my imagination was roaring, thinking about all the fun I was going to have playing Dragon Quest X online, running around, getting into combat, you know, going into towns, talking to people, talking to friends. And having that experience I had with Phantasy Star Online all those years ago, I was going to have it in a game that I adore, in a series that I adore, with everybody around the world. And they just decided not to bring it out over here. I guess they just thought it wouldn't have an audience. And maybe they were right. Maybe they were right. Maybe they were right. You know, Dragon Quest has only in the last few years really taken off, like big time, with Dragon Quest XI especially. But I personally think I could have rounded up a lot of excitement for it. I'm sure a lot of you out there were excited for it. And unfortunately, it's one of those things that was never meant to be. And so we kind of got let down on that one. And getting a couple of keyboards right here are a dream that never happened. And one of the most saddest things I think that I personally own, because that's what this is, hopes and dreams I'm holding in my hand that never were to be. And I gotta thank my friend VagrantVideos for supplying me with the Dragon Quest X footage. So when I was thinking about doing this video, I reached out to him. I'm like, hey, can I use some footage? And he's like, I'll record you some special footage just for your video. And I want to thank him. He's one of the guys who does some of the best MMO RPG coverage online. And he's got a smaller channel. I will say this. Why don't you give him a subscription? Go down below and subscribe to his channel. His videos are fantastic. You got to check out his video on playing Final Fantasy X. Can you do it? How can you do it? Go check out his video. I want to thank him personally for supplying the video footage for Dragon Quest X. So guys, those are some of my video game regrets that I've had over the years. I really had a bit of fun thinking back to a lot of these older memories, and some of them as well, especially with the Dragon Quest keyboards. This is just ridiculous. Oh, what could have been? What could have been? What are some regrets that you personally have in the world of video games? Is there a video game that you bought that just really was terrible? Was it a figure that you bought that maybe the arms were too short or the face was too distorted? It just didn't look like the character when it showed up, or it showed up broken? Or a video game that just didn't live up to expectations? Let me know down below. So anyways, guys, until next time.